prices to consumers?
Okay. Thank you. I'll do those 3 questions. The first one, thank you very much, from the BBC. I regret that 7 MPs decided they would no longer remain part of the Labour Party. I thank them for their work. I hope they recognise they were elected to Parliament on a manifesto that was based around investment in the future, was based around a more equal and fairer society, was based around social justice. And it is that programme, I believe, that we will be able to put to the electorate in the future that does have enormous support. They were elected to carry out those policies. They've decided to go somewhere else, and I regret that, because I want our party to be strong. I want our party to be united around the policies that we've put forward. On the second referendum, thank you for your question. In the Parliament a couple of weeks ago, I put down an amendment to the Prime Minister's motion from the Labour front bench, which included quite specifically the option at the end of the process of a popular vote on any deal that's reached with the European Union. I put it down in line with the policy put forward by our conference. This government is running down the clock and threatening a no-deal exit from the European Union, which I think would be very dangerous and very damaging to our economy and jobs all across the country. And we've made that very clear. That is why we did get a backbench motion through Parliament which said no deal should be taken off the table, and I see that as an absolute necessity, that we take no deal off the table and we negotiate intelligently with the European Union as to the way forward, which is why I'm taking a delegation to Brussels on Thursday in order to put that forward. Because the worry that people have over investment, over jobs, over supply chains and over education and so many other areas is absolutely serious at the present time. This government has had now 2.5 years to negotiate and apparently has done no trade deals with anybody else and keeps on threatening no deal. We will do everything we can to prevent a no-deal Brexit. We will do everything we can to protect jobs and industries across this country and to reach out to those who want to work with us, which is why I put forward the amendment I did, and we'll be doing the same again next week, depending on what the Prime Minister brings back, and as I said, which is why I'm taking a delegation to Brussels on Thursday.
Very good. Just take another small group of questions. One over here, I think, which would be good.
Lewis Goodall, Sky News. Mr Corbyn, you've said what your message is to the MPs who have left your party, but what specifically is your message to those, that many of them, who are saying privately that unless the party changes, unless the way you operate changes, that they will follow suit and leave the party? What is your message to them, and what are you going to do and do differently in the future to keep them in?
Very good. I think we have one at the back there who's June, one at the back there that's been up for a while, which would be good. Thank you. June's keeping fit, running around with that. That's fantastic. Bit of health and well-being.
Nick Byrne, Robert Byrne and Company. I'm second generation in a family manufacturing business employing 30 people. We make a great contribution to the community. I think when I looked at it, we pay more out in tax than we pay out in dividends and take-home pay, and we're proud of doing so. But my concern is my daughters have now come into the business. They are the third generation. Will they be able to take over the business under a Labour government? Or will the concern about wealth inequalities mean that the business will need to be broken up?
Very good. And maybe one more question from this side. Let's do that over in the corner, that lady over there. Sorry, June, I'm doing the most extremes for you so you can run around the hall. There you go. Lovely. Thank you.
Sorry, you'll get a bit. Heather Stewart from The Guardian. Mr Corbyn, do you agree with your deputy, Tom Watson, that the front bench of the Labour Party needs to broaden out to better reflect the range of views in the wider Parliamentary Labour Party?
Okay, thanks for the questions. First of all, the question from Sky News. We've developed our policies in the party over the past few years by working with our 500,000 members, biggest membership the Labour Party's ever had, and they are radical policies, I acknowledge. They're also very popular policies on housing, on education, on environment, on economy and industrial development. And we do our best to put all those policies forward. They are discussed frequently with parliamentary colleagues, through select committees, through interest groups within the party, and we're making huge progress. Angela and Gordon are here on the platform with me today. They've developed the National Education Service from an original idea put forward in the party and in conference, and they're bringing it to a reality and consulting very, very widely in achieving that. And so anyone who thinks they're not being consulted is not taking up, in my view, the opportunities that are available there and open and ready for them at all times to do that. And I'm always prepared to discuss policies with people in the party, and I do all the time. A colleague who asked a question about your company, well, it sounds like a very successful company, and coming from a family of engineers, I'm really pleased you've got a third generation moving into engineering. Great. I don't see any problem with that whatsoever. That's the kind of company we would want to work with. And indeed, the point I made in the speech about the need for capital support for small and medium-sized enterprises is, I believe, very important. I talk often to the Federation of Small Businesses about this. You're probably familiar with this, and I'm sure many in this room are as well, that you get to a certain size as a manufacturing enterprise, you need to borrow money for capital investment, for new machine tools, for new computer systems, for all kinds of things to develop. And they are very, very expensive. You can't get a loan to do it, you can't expand, so you end up selling up to somebody else or selling up to asset strippers who take over the land and use it for something else. We need to nurture and develop the innovative skills that are there all over the country. And indeed, it's often the small companies and almost single-handed entrepreneurs that are often the most innovative in developing new ideas. And they're the kind of people we'd want to work with these regional transformation funds that would have a local bias in how they do things. And we're already working with a lot of people all over the country through our regional economic forums and indeed town and city size economic forums on how those economies would develop. On the point raised by The Guardian, I am proud to lead the Labour Party. I'm proud of what the Labour Party has achieved. The National Health Service, the Equalities Act, the Human Rights Act, what it's achieved in so many areas of our society. And I recognise that leading the party means you've got to take people with you, and I'm determined to do that. Determined to do that so that we can, when an election comes, present those policies and that determination to the public as a whole. Our MPs, representing communities, many of whom are representing very poor communities, are the very people to carry those policies into operation. Because we cannot go on living in a country where inequality gets worse, where the numbers of people rough sleeping gets worse, and the number of people dependent on food banks gets worse. I want to live in a country that is more at ease with itself, and that does require investment. It does require a social programme to bring about those kind of changes. But above all, it also requires investment in an economy to deliver the resources to do all of that. And that's why I'm so pleased to talk to you here today, but so pleased also to visit many of your member companies all over the country and see the innovative work they're doing and the training work that they're doing. I want us to have a qualified, trained workforce. I want young people to have hope for the future, not pessimism of unemployment, of closures and redundancies. We can do it, but we have to change our ways of doing things. And we have to have a deal with the European Union that guarantees trade, guarantees investment, guarantees our rights. A no-deal Brexit would, I believe, be a very dangerous cliff edge, and I don't want to go over that cliff edge. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeremy, and thank you very much for your time. And we couldn't finish on a more exact note than no deal is not an option. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. And thank you, Gordon. Lovely to see you. And of course, thank you very much. Absolutely.